What's up, y'all? It's Sarah Kate here with Billy Scott. And as you can see, we have another beautiful face here. This is Miss Kristina Hubbard. Kristina Hubbard. Oh my gosh. I can't even there's so many things I want to say. Okay. So many hats you wear.
Yeah.
We just go through it. Where do you
Those?
start? You're a mama. You're an amazing wife. You're an amazing woman. You lead so well in your life.
Thank you.
She's helped me in so many already. So many things. Oh, you're gonna make me cry. Anyway.
She's the
we're
mama
not gonna
bear
talk about
of so many industries.
Yeah. Like if you need a mama, she's right here.
My kids bring me home people all the time.
But Miss Kristina is, how do you really say that? You've been in the industry 30 years.
Yeah.
But you've
lending
been
things,
in the mortgage industry.
Yeah, the whole time I was
A
mortgage.
lender,
I've never done any.
Branch manager, which I typoed and said she was a brand manager.
Which I
Poor
had
thing
to
she
Google.
was.
I was like, am I a brand manager?
So what'd you come up with? Like, how long were you a brand manager?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
I was like, I meant branch. I've been a branch manager since '99.
Wow.
I know.
Just a hot minute. Just a hot minute.
Doing
And you
something.
still look
How
like
old
you're
were you,
28.
Sarah?
Right.
Stop, I wasn't born. We're not going to put her on the spot like that.
Wait, what? Is that real life?
I was born in 2001.
I'm leaving.
I'm 24.
Oh my, you're such
Chris, I'm sorry.
I'm a baby.
You're so wise. And no, seriously, for
Oh my
24, yeah, that's great.
I was telling Billy on the way here, I'm like, actually, I pretty much just hang out with 40-year-olds for the most part. Because I don't know, I love it.
That's why you're so articulate.
It's all the 40-year-olds.
That's right.
Y'all are so wise. I'm
That's
like, yeah,
it.
I just taking it in.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
But we want to know about you. I mean, we know some about you, but for people who really, who are like, who's Kristina Hubbard? Or, oh, I know the name, but I don't really know anything about her.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Why does the world need to know
Yeah.
who Kristina Hubbard
I gotta-
Oh,
is?
You
geez.
guys
That could be a 45-minute
racking me up.
conversation of just us talking.
Yes.
Like, she could just sit here and embrace and receive.
I feel so loved on today. Thank you for pouring into me. Thank you for inviting me, you guys. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah, thanks for coming.
It is fun.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I don't know how to describe. I've been doing what I love for 30 years, helping people become incredibly, be able to create generational wealth through real estate. That to me is a gift. I'm really blessed to do that. I love people. I love helping people no matter what that looks like. So you could show up at my office and have a prayer meeting. Or
Yeah.
you could come in and I can talk. I always joke about I'm going to do a podcast called Mortgages, Menopause, and the Messiah.
Might be onto something.
3 things I talk about. All that they start with
Please.
wanting a loan, and then I'm like, "You're sweating. Are you okay? You want to talk about some other things?" And then before I know it, they're going to my doctor. They're in my support group.
They're going to your church.
They're going to my church. They're getting prayed over. No.
Pretty on point.
Yeah.
You need to do that. And we know a guy who you can do it with.
This is my guy right here.
Yeah.
Scott's going to help me with that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where are you from? Are you from around here?
So, thank you for that thoughtful question. I'm from California. Not many know this.
You're a Cali girl? Wait,
I'm
I
a
actually
Cali
didn't know
girl.
this.
I am.
Okay, I'm
am.
a Cali girl, technically.
You are?
I know.
From where?
I try not to own it, but I really am.
I know my feet are
Sacramento,
webbed.
Grass
Okay.
Valley
Okay, so
area, yeah.
I was Palo Alto area,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
my feet are webbed. I'm like a total Oregonian now. But my daughter's in school in Southern California, so every time I'm there, I feel a little more home.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
But I do love Oregon.
So what brought you up here?
When I was 8, my parents, my dad's job, like
Yeah.
my mom, my whole, I always joke around saying that I'm related to all of Albany and Corvallis, and my kin are all there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, just lots of family.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why we came.
Yeah. And you're married.
I am married to a hunka burning love
Oh,
man.
big sexy.
I'm big sexy. Christopher Hubbard. That was my man. Yeah. We almost 28 years.
Mm.
So he's my epic love story. I'm very
Yeah.
blessed.
What is your love story with him?
Well, I think the way we met or how it
Just
worked.
your love story. How you met.
Yeah.
Just
So this is actually funny. A real estate agent that I was working with for a long time and loved, her husband and my husband were both investing in a car lot at the same time. They were both car people.
Yeah.
He's still a car guy. And he told my husband, I know your soulmate. When you're ready to meet her, let me know. And then the wife told me, I know you're soulmate, like, let me know. And I was like, oh, get right on that. And as my mom would say, I was dating half of Oregon and Southwest Washington. But the only reason I was doing that was because I didn't know what I wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was looking for in a partner. So I had to do that. And so we met. I came into his car lot and I bought a car because my friend brought me a car to drive. Who gets a new car to a 23-year-old or no, I was maybe 20, maybe I was 25. And you're driving it all week. And he's like, if you like it, like bring it back and we'll do the financing.
What?
That's how he sold me a car.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And it still works to this day.
And it's still my car. No. And so Christopher my husband came in to close me. He was the closer.
Mm.
And don't close. You can't close a closer. He always when I say this, he always says to me, "Did you buy the car?"
Yeah.
And I'm
Who
all.
closed?
And I'm
So
all.
I did.
Yeah, actually, totally bought the car. But he came in to close me, and there was a weird sound the tire was making, a really weird. And so as he's kept shoving the paperwork back to me, I was like, there's a weird tire noise. And so he kept having Les Schwab come and put more tires on it and try different things. And then he pushed the paperwork back to me again. And finally, I shoved the paperwork back and I said, hey, look, tire boy, I'm not buying your car with the tires sound like this. And he got up, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was one of the owners. I just thought he was the tire guy.
Yeah.
But he was super cute. And I had this little electric shock go down my body when I saw him. Like literally, like now I know it's the Holy Spirit, but I didn't know then.
Yeah.
And so it was like zip up and down when I saw him. But also he had really baggy jeans on, and I didn't know if he had a cute butt or not. So I was kind of suspect. And anyway.
You're like, I can't see
I'm not
everything,
sure.
so I don't know.
But anyway, he got up, took the paperwork, left, slammed the door, went into his office. And I found this out later because both ladies in his office were my clients.
Oh.
And so I know. So they were like, oh, you met Kristina, huh?
Oh.
And he stopped and he said, yeah, that's the girl I'm going to marry.
Wow.
Isn't that
Dang.
crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah. And we were married like, I don't know. We argue about this point sometimes because they told me he said that. I don't know if he ever admitted that he said that, but I know he did. But then our very first date, we drove home from our first date and he said, you know, we're going to be married someday. And I go, yeah. And I'd had guys say that to me before and I was like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when he said it, I was like, yeah, I do know that.
Wow.
Yeah. So
It's like a piece with it.
we were married
Oh, yeah.
in like within 5 months of that, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
28 years later.
20 years later.
Dang, Chris.
Ah,
Way to make it happen.
it's him. I don't know how. Like, listen, we talked about the boot story. Like, he's so good for me. He's helped me grow a lot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Other halves do that to us.
I know. I think you had the same experience with your
Yep.
other half, if I remember.
She started
correctly.
with brownies through my stomach.
Feeding you.
And
She
that got
knew.
me. That's what I knew. I'm marrying this woman.
This is it. Feed me. Actually, that looks really good.
I was just a little hotshot 19-year-old who was like, "No, I don't got time for you."
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I was like, "Oh wait,
Wait.
okay, you're kind of nice, like maybe." And then it was like, I don't know. I thought I knew everything. I was like, I'm good for him. Like he's lucked out. And then we got married, and I was like,
Oh, no.
I'm a mess. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, this man has some patience.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
does.
I hear that. Yeah. And then we had 2 babies, 2 beautiful kids.
Aw.
Yeah. My youngest is graduating from Pepperdine.
Wow.
Very proud of her. She is graduating May 3rd, so we're excited.
Yeah.
And my son is a senior at OSU, and he's studying psychology and sociology and all the things to help people, which I'm not shocked at all. that he-
Amazing.
She's
Right up
helping
his
people
alley.
heal. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
He's just getting paid for it.
Yeah, he'll get paid for it. Yeah, he's been doing it his whole life. Every friend comes to Connor and asks like for help. Like, and if he can't, he'll bring him to me sometimes, but he'll help
gotta
him.
make you
Help
proud.
him. Oh, I'm so proud of both my kids. I'm obsessed with both of them. I got to be their mom.
Yep.
You know, because we're stewards of our kids. They're not ours. Like God's like, you get this one for this much time. Don't screw it up. He probably doesn't say screw it,
Isn't that the truth, though?
but right, we only have a certain period of time, and then they're gonna be what they are.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I don't have babies yet, so I'm listening.
I can't wait till you do. I bet you're gonna be incredible mom. Just
We-
knowing you the way that I do.
Oh my
like,
gosh. Well, there was a period I didn't want kids. I went through like a couple years. Like I was like,
Okay.
no. And Steven was like, yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, it's all right.
Wow.
And but then, which is just, he's so patient and kind, right? He's like, yeah, it's okay. But I think he always kind of knew, like, no,
You'd
you're
come
going
around.
to,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
we'll be supportive.
Yeah.
But then we went to PBR the other night, and we took Stephen came and then his family and little soybean. Oh my gosh, his little
grandson.
grandson. His little mullet and his belt buckle. And
You're
I'm
like, I'm done. Put a fork in her.
Literally,
She's done.
Steve and I were on our way home and I was like, I think I'm entering like my mom era before I'm having kids. Like I literally bought these jeans last weekend. Like I was like, yeah, I need some mom jeans.
Mom jeans,
Like this
yeah.
is
Really?
And who do you think held Sawyer most of the time?
You.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
No, he kept being like, yeah. He's like, if you could just pat, and I'm like, I'm good. And I'm like, I carried him all the way to the
You
car.
had him the whole time?
Oh, most.
I didn't know
most
she
of the
could get him
time.
out of your arms.
80% of the time, yeah, she had little soybean, and he
He's
was
so
perfectly
good.
content hanging out with Sarah.
Taylor's doing such a good job with him. Like
Yeah,
he's
she's a good little mama.
She is.
Good little mama.
Aren't you, Tater?
She is.
Oh,
He's
is
such
that
a
what you
good
call
kid.
her?
Tater, my little tater bug.
Yeah, little
tater,
soybean.
My little tater mater.
He's so country.
What's your nickname for
love
Kyla?
it. I love it.
Kyla?
Yeah.
Wiggles was one of the
What?
Wiggles, yeah.
Wiggles.
Dude, my dad used to call me Binky.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was so embarrassing.
Why,
for
'cause you had a
so
binky in your
long.
mouth?
I
Yeah.
think so. I don't know. Oh no, it was because he'd come home and I'd go, and I'd spit it out when he'd come home because I was so excited. I think that's why. Yeah.
Binky.
But now everybody calls me Nana
Nana? What? What is that from?
in my family. So
Nana?
Caleb, my little brother, couldn't really talk for a long time.
Oh.
Well, he could talk, but it was all gibberish. And so for some reason, he just started calling me Nana. Like Nana, and that's, he couldn't say Sarah. So I think it's because Sarah, kind of Nana, something
Okay,
like that.
that would make sense. Yeah.
But now my whole family calls me Nana.
I
and my
love
dad will call me
that.
and be like, "Hey, Nan, how you doing?"
Can Billy and I call you Nana?
Sure.
Might have started something.
We want to be involved in
Morning,
that.
Nana.
Yeah.
It's so
We
funny.
want to be involved in that.
But tell me about I want to know, really, because I haven't really got to ask you about this.
Yeah.
So this is kind of selfish. Sorry. But what's it been like for you to be a woman? Like you were a young woman coming
Yeah.
into an industry.
Yeah.
First, I want to know what that was like. What was your journey? Where were you at in your headspace?
Yeah.
Like coming in.
Well, I was 23 and I'd been working in managing for a while a Wilson store, so leather, obviously, because I brought my pants for you guys. Right? And then started opening stores for Liz Claiborne. So I opened 6 around the country. Yeah, and loved that. Had a blast doing that. But Melissa now was Tompkins, now Stashen was someone we worked together and became really close, and one of my dearest friends. And she got in the mortgage industry, and we went to, I don't know if she'll remember this, but we went to dinner at like TGI Fridays or something. And I'm telling her, like, I can't be in retail anymore. I can't work 24/7. I can't keep having I literally was like, I'll never get married or have kids or do anything because I'm working all the holidays, Black Friday, all the things. And so I was like, I really think I need to get into mortgages. I didn't know mortgage had a T in it. I mean, literally. And she would be like, so we sat there for 3 hours, and for 2 hours, she tried to talk me out of it.
Wow.
Yeah. Because it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And the last hour, she told me why I'd be really good at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I want to vet you first.
Yeah.
I want to make sure you understand what you're getting
Yeah.
What
into.
were some of the things that she talked about with you of like trying to talk you out of it? Like what are some of not negatives, but
like
harder
just the
things?
stress of it. I mean, it's not like I'm not manufacturing pens for people, right? Like I'm not that that's a bad job, but it's not maybe as stressful as they give you all their everything. Like
here's everything. Here's how to assemble it.
Yeah, and then I take that really, really seriously, that now I'm going to go find the very best thing for them to do with their money, with their investments, whatever. So when I very first started, I was the 5th woman hired in a company of all men.
Wow.
Lots of interesting things going on. In fact, the day that I went in for my interview, the owner was, I won't mention his name, he's a great guy, but one of my first mentors. But I went in for the interview, and he canceled my interview 5 times. He kept canceling it.
Oh, no.
And back then, we had these things called answering machines. Do you?
I know what that is. I'm not that young. I know who Madonna is. We were just talking about
Okay.
it.
Trust but verify. Let's see.
And so he kept calling and like canceling. He just kept canceling our meeting. And I had already literally, I went to San Francisco, quit. I was like telling my manager, hey, I'm going to leave the industry. I'm going to go do something else. And I was like, I'm going to give you a 2-week notice, because I was doing fashion shows with AM Northwest. Like I was doing all this crazy stuff in that industry because I love fashion, still love fashion. And she was like, here's $100, get a taxi, change your ticket at the counter, you're done. And And I was like, I have a fashion show this weekend. Like I was literally like, what do you mean I'm done? And so him canceling our interview 5 times, I didn't have the job. She was the branch manager, but he was the owner. So the last time he called to cancel the interview, I picked up the so on the answering machine, you could pick up the phone if you wanted.
So you could still screen calls.
So I picked up the call and I said, he goes, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I got something going on. And I go, hey, it's no problem. I'm going to be in Lake Oswego anyway today. I've got other, interviews with other mortgage companies. So I'll pop by your office. If you're there, great. We can meet. If not, that's okay. And he's like, wait. You're doing what now? Yeah. It was a total lie.
Put your feet to the fire.
It's like I had nothing else.
I'm tired of you canceling on me.
Yeah. So I showed up and I get in there. It was kind of interesting because I had been so in the corporate. Let's claim it was total corporate, three-piece dressing. I had a book of business of people that I would, they would spend a ton of money and we'd have so much. I'd literally sit on the dressing room floor and wardrobe them. Like it was so much fun. I had rolling racks out and we would have the best time. So I had this huge book of business and I was the youngest manager in the whole company and with a world store. And so they were like, what are you doing? How are you building these books who are these people? Well, I called every friend I knew, every family member going, come in and let me get you all dressed. Right. So it was kind of fun. But this whole thing, when I have no job and this man is telling me like, you can't come, I was thinking, well, I really better figure this out. And so in my interview, he literally says this, I hear you're a great salesperson. And I said, well, yeah. He's like, I hear you're like the top salesperson. And I go, yeah, I'm a great salesperson. And he goes, and I hear you're a great manager. And I go, yeah, well, I'm a pretty good manager. I think, where's this going? And he goes, so, yeah, can you stand up? And so I was like, so I stood up and he goes, turn around. I turned around. This is how crazy this is. And then I sat back down and he goes, yeah, you're a cute little thing. You should have that work for you. Go pick up your pager and your keys over at the other office.
What? Okay.
1995.
Wow.
And I was like, did I get the job? And so I went to Melissa's office and she goes, what did he say? And I go, he told me to pick up my pager and keys. She's like, you did it. And I was like, it was really.
All I did was turn around. Like, I don't understand.
Try that today's day and age?
Yeah.
Not a chance.
So being the 5th woman hired, I was like, okay, so how's this going to go then?
Yeah.
They put me in the basement and they said that you had to earn your right to come upstairs.
Wow.
And the fax machine was upstairs. I got really skinny. Run up and down all day. But
good for me.
Put you in the basement.
Stick you in a basement.
But the owner said, like, my group, I was in a month boot camp, we called it, and it was all guys except me. And he would yell at people and like call them F words and like, and he'd throw things if they got things wrong, like big cubes either. And one day he goes, Kristina, is this uncomfortable the way I'm speaking to people? And I was like, a little. Like, yeah, I'm not used to that. He's like, I'm going to try to tone that down. I was like, that was cool. So, and then only 2 of us made it out of training. Everybody else got fired in training.
Wow.
Yeah, me and one other guy. And so then when I got in the basement, they were like, he literally was like, okay, you got to close 10 deals a month or you're fired. I was like, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm on it. Totally.
Yep.
Yeah, let's go do that. So that was my mentorship. He'd call me at 5 o'clock in the morning and I would jump and grab the phone and he'd say, what do you do? And my maiden name is Milligan, so they called me Millie. He's like, Millie, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm in bed. And he's like, well, all the top producers are already at work. And I'd be like, yeah, the top producers are at work. And I'd hang up and I'd like get dressed and go to work because all the top producers were already there.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
So it motivated me. It sounds terrible when I say it out loud, but for me, I was really honored to have the opportunity that having this friendship, this relationship with Melissa, because she knew my tenacity. She'd worked with me for a long time in retail. So I felt really honored and I didn't want to let her down. Yeah. She's still the owner of the company today I work for.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we've been together
I can't even imagine like that environment.
Yeah. But I think what happens today is gals today, and I'm all about like be transparent, be real, talk about what is going on. But I think back then there wasn't anybody saying, hey, that's not okay.
Yeah.
There was no one saying that to us. And we'd been so used to it that we just didn't know any different.
Right.
And he's actually a super good guy. And today he would never talk to me like that. But back then, like that was just how
That was
It was the
era.
culture.
it was kind of the culture. And so I don't hold any animosity, but my daughter, I'd have her punch him in the face.
And that'd make
Not
mama
my
proud.
baby.
But my baby's not gonna. I wouldn't even need to tell her to punch him. She'd just punch him. But yeah, so totally different time. But I was really blessed to have the job. It was 100% commission from the get-go, like a real estate agent is. A lot of lenders now, they do salary or they do something different, some basis point, a combination of both. But I've been 100% commission since I was 23. I've never known anything different.
So he said you had to close 10 a month.
Yeah.
And in your first month, did you?
My first month, I closed 8.
Oh,
and so I went to
that's still so good.
Well,
oh my God.
I was terrified.
You had never done it before.
No. I called everybody that I ever knew. And I was like, I am so good at this. Do you want to get a loan? They were all my first and second deal. My very first deal I ever got, the owner gave it to me. Like in the class, we picked straws, and the person that got the shortest straw got the deal. And he was at the U.S. Bancorp Tower. And shout out to Ken Koopman, number 1. And I went to Melissa's office, and I was like, I got the short straw, and I've got a deal. And I go, you need to go with me because I have no idea what I'm doing. And she's like, all right. So we go, and I had a whole briefcase like of cute like stuff, And I get into his office, and I do the whole presentation, and I get his rate. I was doing a refi for him. And when I was done, he was like, yeah, I'll do it. Okay, let's get locked in or whatever. And I stood up and I go, and I sat back down. And I go, I'm supposed to ask you for a referral. And Melissa looks at me and she's like,
oh no.
All right, we got room for improvement.
And you know what he said to me? Yeah, I think my partner, Craig Ospo, probably needs a deal. He pops his head out and he goes, Craig, come meet my mortgage lady. Craig pops in. I go into his office. Melissa looks at me like, I sit down. I do his whole thing. I get his whole deal dialed in. I'm like, I'll call you. We'll get you locked later. And I stood up again, and I was like, I'm supposed to ask you for a referral. Who do you know that I should be talking to? And he goes, my CPA, Jan, is here. And I was like, I'd love to meet her. So those were my first, second, and third.
Boom, boom, boom.
Wow.
But you know what? It was a no if you never asked.
Yeah. I mean, what the heck? And
You can critique the delivery with time.
You think? Those guys are still people that I adore and still keep in contact with, and they love being number 1 and number 2. They still when I do their loans, still or if they have stuff.
They're like, don't forget I was number 1.
Yeah, Ken's like,
that's
I'm
reflected
still
on the
number
bottom line.
1, top customer. But they got me started, and they referred me out and took care of me. Yeah, it was good. So
have you always had that? I know you kind of started out in sales even before that, right?
Yeah.
You were doing it, but like the level of confidence that takes.
No.
You just born with it?
Both of my parents were salespeople. So my mom could sell ice to Eskimos. Like, she's one of the best salespeople I've ever met.
Amazing.
And she would always be like queen of sales and everything she would do. And I was always her date. And so I'd go to these things, and my mom's all dressed up in this like elegant gowns. And she's like, has her thing, her staff and her thing. And they queen her, like whatever. She was such a great salesperson. And I remember just watching her, and she'd win all these trips, and I was always her partner on the trips. And so I just listened to her. So we had in-home sales. So my house was always like, everybody's on. And it stunk when you're a kid because you're like, is there downtime? Is people always stopping by to do stuff? We weren't drug dealers. That sounds really bad. But both my parents were in home sales. And so it was interesting that you learn. I think you just learn from that. And then I think I love people. So if somebody would come in and want to buy, I was like, what, I would just get to know them. And then they would come ask for me. And then it just kind of started, like that. So I had 3 jobs at that first store. I was doing 3 separate jobs to try it because I moved out when I was really young. And so.
I want to ask you, when you say you've been commissioned, all your mortgage industry for 30 years.
Yeah.
I worked a job where I got paid every Friday for 18 years.
Yeah.
And then this was my first winter on my own. And it was a tough winter.
Yeah.
And having staff below you, having people that you got to pay, and you short yourself to make sure everybody's paid and everybody else gets paid first. Like, what advice do you have for whether it's the real estate industry, lending industry, what advice do you have for people on a commission salary, how to ride the ebbs and flows of the industry or life to be more prepared, to not have to go through the downtime and it sting as bad.
Yeah. Poof. Well, the first thing I'll tell you is that when you do the right thing, they'll come. And you never count the deal. You just count the people. And when you touch enough people, I joke around all the time about my phone says educate and serve. Like when I answer that's my job. When I pick up the phone, I'm going to educate that person and then I'm going to serve them. And I'm going to try to figure out a way to help. And if that turns into a deal, fantastic. If it doesn't, it might turn into a friendship or a relationship or someone that I have in another capacity of my life for that. So I think that's the first thing, is that you have to have the right mindset. Yeah. The second is what my husband always tells me, and you cannot fail as long as you don't ever quit. Yep. So when you have those times, and we all go through them, the last 3 years the fact that you did this during the time that you did it is so incredible, like to you, because you wouldn't have known, right? We know whatever season we're in, like in our rearview mirror, like our 2020 is like, oh, that was the best time. But you did it in a time where you just were like, I'll build it and they'll come. And it was incredible. Like watching you, I think you've been Rookie of the Year. I think you've been all the things, all the plaques. There's a queen crown, Billy, and a whole thing on stage waiting for you because you're incredible. You have no fear, but you love people genuinely. Yeah. And that was what made me, in our very first meeting, go, yeah, that guy's with me. He's in my toy box. He's in my sandbox, not my toy box. You know about my
sandbox. Out of the toy box.
Out of the toy box and get my sandbox, because it was like, I want to be around this human. Well, and I think your people feel the same way.
It is an honor, and thank you. And it's fun. Yeah. It's a journey, and we got lots more ahead of us, that's for sure. Lots more learning and more lives to touch. So it's just... I think it's pretty cool, and it's pretty rewarding without a price tag of the people that we get to impact.
It's incredible.
Like in this industry.
And when you start getting those calls, the longer you're in it, then you start getting those calls going, my mom's uncle's cousins, or the house you put them in, they're ready to sell, and keep going. And you just are like, oh, everything I'm building starts to go. But to come back to your question, because the question is really solid, and I'm not gonna BS you and make you think, no big deal. Everybody does it, but everybody that's 100% commission gets to that spot where you go, oh my gosh, I'm not pulling a check, and I might not for a while. And I would say that don't ever lose control of your money. You always hold the checkbook. Okay. Know where everything is going, and people respect what you inspect. Yeah. So watch it. I've made many mistakes around that in my career where I'm like, okay, that's cool. Go run everything financially, and then I go, whoa, we're not making it. Like, hold on. Yeah. Because it's a business that's Billy Inc. Yep. It's a business that's Kristina Inc. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter what company I'm working for. This is my database, my clients, right? So that to me was a really hard lesson to learn. I had people embezzle money from me. I've had a rough go with the money piece. Okay. But your job is to make sure the finances are okay. And that when you have great, I think the other thing with real estate agents, and maybe not all of them, but a majority, because I end up getting to do their loans, which is a blessing, but they get their commission check and think that's their paycheck. That's revenue. That's coming into this filter, but you got all this stuff that has to come out of that. Yeah. So I think they get excited, especially their first year, because they're making way more than maybe they thought, and they're like, whoa, I just got to... whatever.
It's gross, not net.
Yeah, and it's like, hold on, you got to triple net that out. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And so I think when you have those months, being realistic with, here's my on fire on the side of the road account, and you're putting money away way more than what you think you're going to need.
I would agree, more than what I think, because we put away a decent chunk more than we've ever done going into a winter. Yeah. And, fast forward now, over a 5-month period, we had 9 deals fall out.
Oh, I remember you telling me that. It's like,
and we closed one. So I got one check over 5 months this winter. Yeah.
It's like,
and I knew it would all come around.
Yep.
Like, and believing in the system and doing the right things. But man, I'd be lying if I said it wasn't.
It's a punch. It's a punch.
And it's like, all right, they got to have their paycheck. They got to have their paycheck. We got to make sure our credit cards are paid. Like all this has to be paid. And it's like, we've already booked a couple of vacations, so we're still going on vacation. So what else are we going to do? Like, it just, things get tighter than what you expect because the money constantly goes out. It doesn't constantly go in. And that was a humbling winter. But, we got through it, and we got a lot of good things coming. But Man, I can only imagine.
And you're an entrepreneur. You think that way. You're like, what else? What can I do? You're also smart to go plug and play too. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
So we talked about this too at our meeting. Like, if you find somebody that you really, really admire how they're doing what they're doing, go make friends.
Yeah.
I believe in coaching. I believe in being coached. I believe in coming. Like I went into coaching years ago, and my coach, I would leave those coaching calls crying. And I'm not that kind of person, but I felt like I was not worthy.
Yeah.
And they had us take there was 4 of us on the call plus the coach. And so we'd have to take our financial, every single, like my P&L for my office and my P&L for my household. And we had to send them to the next person.
Okay.
And so strangers were looking at how much I spent and how much I made and how much I made in side hustles or what do my rentals look like. They could see everything coming in and everything going out. And they could ask me anything like, what is this $600? What did you do? Does it make sense? What's your ROI on that? Like literally hammer you down. And I ended up paying off like $60,000 worth of debt that didn't belong to a mortgage, which with me, that's the debt you should need to get rid of, is anything that doesn't belong to a mortgage probably needs to go bye-bye. But, and I had 6 months to do it. And my reward at the end with this coach was I got to take my family to Hawaii. And I had never taken them to Hawaii at this point. And it would have been our goal forever. And he was like, not only are you taking them to Hawaii, but you're paying cash. Like you're not
charging this.
Nope, you can put it on a card, but you got to pay it off. And so when I got to the end of the 6 months and had it all paid off and then had the trip paid for, and fast forward to the trip, it was the first time. We had such a great time. And I had I had an employee be terminated in the middle of it while I'm not there. I had a couple deals that fell apart. Like stuff is happening. And there's this picture of me on the beach on my cell phone and my kids took it.
I'm dreading that.
And I said, okay, so they literally the whole family, that night, they were like, you've worked, we've all worked. This has been so exciting and you got to be present. Yeah. And I was like, I'm going to throw this phone in the ocean. That's what I'm going to do. But it was like, I did all of this and I'm going to not be present. But I loved that they felt comfortable enough to tell me that.
Yeah, I love that. And that you were able to receive that.
It took me a minute. I'm gonna be real. I was like, you don't know what I do.
For sure, we have our human response, right?
You don't know, and it's hard when you have an employee that is being terminated too, and you want to be the one to do all the things, and so I would get on the calls and do all the things to try to help, and it ruined at least 3 days. And then I was like, I'm taking this captive. I'm taking this back. We own this trip. We're going to do this. And so that's what really put me in the mindset. And we talked about this a little bit of having an amazing team. Yeah. Having a team around you that are better than you in many ways in things that you're not great at. I'm really great at going out and talking to people and loving on them. My brain holds lots of information about how to do things. Somebody starts talking to me about what to do and I've already got it all in my head. I know what I'm going to do. But I need somebody who's really good at picking up the paperwork and handling the business on the back end. And I need somebody who's really good at, being more organized than me. Boots get laid on the ground. Yep. So you surround yourself with people that are amazing and you edify them and you push them forward and everybody stays in their lane. Do what you're really good at. We joke about you all the time, buddy, because you are so... you have so much energy and care so much about your clients. Yeah. And this one has to catch the details, right? And so
I'm just running around like
I think my team, I feel like sometimes I walk in and I'm like a tornado. And look at all these ideas. And they're all like, okay, great,
Here
Kristina.
it comes.
They're like, go get some more coffee. But I couldn't do this as long as I have, having as much fun, being able to help as many people if I didn't have incredibly strong people around me that care about, love our customer and love working together, and we're a family, a team. Yep. Since you started with this one, like how much
she's the lifeline.
Yeah. How much it just grows you. And then when you have to realize, hey, I'm not just managing me, I'm managing this situation. And I'm managing finances, and I still got to be a dad and a granddad and a hubby, right? So then you have to really look at what does that look like. And I have failed at that so many times. I remember picking up my kids from school and my daughter, who's so sassy. But I'd be on the phone and I'd be like, on the phone, get in the car. Guilty. And my daughter would get in the car and she'd go, tell your customer that your kids are in the car and they haven't seen you all day. And I was like,
I'm sorry, that was a random kid. Get out of the car. Go find your parents.
I don't know this kid. So I
don't know where she gets her sassiness from either.
Must have been Christopher.
I must be Christopher.
Yeah.
But I remember that night we went home and I was like, okay, guys, you know you're in a private school, right? Like I was saying all the adult things. You guys both want this and that, and you have this vacation, and I'm like giving them all the reasons, and they're like, we want our mom, and we want her attention right now. And so we had to make a deal. I was like, okay, if you want me to pick you up from school, then after you get home and have a snack and do homework or whatever, and Connor would be like, I need you for 3 hours for homework. I'm like, okay. But after all that is done, I got to clock back in at work. And back then it wasn't like remote working wasn't a thing. Yeah. And so I was like, I'm going to probably have 2 hours of phone calls. So if I have nobody on the phone when I pick you up, can we negotiate this? And so it was just kind of negotiating with them, like, yeah, I'm going to give you my full attention for the 15 minutes before we get home, and then I'm going to set you up, and then I'm going to go clock back in, and are we cool? Or sometimes I take them back to the office with me because they thought that was so cool to be at the office.
Aww.
Yeah.
I remember everybody else gets to love them.
Yeah.
Because my dad's he teaches at Crescent Valley. Aww. And I loved going to school with him, walking in, and we'd walk down the hallways, hey, Mr. Howe, and like, I just thought that was so cool.
That's my dad.
Yeah. And my mom used to work at the district office in Albany. And so then sometimes I'd get to go in with her after school or whatever. And everybody would be like, give me candy.
Oh, yeah, it's a big deal.
And see your boss. And I don't know. It is cool as a kid.
It is cool. Like, they had their own offices. They would leave me like, Connor would like get on the copier and he'd like give me a butt print, and then he'd make Sam's face be right here. So her face here like this, and then his little butt print, and then they'd leave it on my desk, and I'd be
They're
like,
gonna hate you for saying that.
They deserve it. And I rember just being like,
they deserve
that's what my children did for work today. All right. But they still love coming to the office. They're 27 and 21. They still come to the office.
Yeah, but kids of working parents, like it's what you do to make ends meet, and those sacrifices.
You got to show them.
Yeah.
But you also have to keep it in check.
Yeah.
There's that balance is always, and now they're both in college and not living at home and whatever. And my husband and I have to wrangle in like, hey, you can't come home at 9 o'clock. We have to have dinner together. It's tough. Yeah. We both are workaholics. So.
Right.
Well, I want to circle back to the financial stuff.
Yeah.
Like, when did you become a financial guru? Yeah. That's what I feel like you are.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Ooh.
Oh my gosh. And saying the queen of money sounds really bad. But like,
I like
you know what I mean though? Like, you really, I love the way you talk about finances and money in general, because you come from a place of like no shame, no fear, and not like this, like, oh, we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, you're so open. It's like, hey, okay, here's how we're going to change this, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
How did you learn that? Where did that come from? Is it just, you're just gifted with it, which is obviously true.
I love that. Thank you. That's a good question. So I think we talked about this a little bit. I didn't come from any money. I didn't come from, that wasn't part of our life.
Yeah.
I didn't get good lessons around that. I love my mama with all my heart, but they did not have a real great idea of money.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul. And so when I became an adult and realized, like, I've only got popcorn and Kool-Aid in my apartment. Like, I don't, there's really no option to go get help from anybody. This is like, I got to hustle. So if I had 3 jobs, I had 3 jobs. That's just the way it was. And to pay a car payment, and you did all that. So when I started in the world of finance, I thought, well, I can't be a fraud. Like, I need to know all the things. So I signed up for every seminar. I read every book. I mean, now I still listen to podcasts. And now it's cool because you can just get information. But back then it was like, I think I've read 97 books this year. Like, I don't ever stop learning.
This year?
Well, that's a lie. In the last 18 months, probably. And then again, when I say read, Audible, I listen.
Yeah, that's still reading.
Okay, is it?
Yeah. I think it is.
Okay.
Because people, like, we talk about this all the time. Like, he can listen right? But like sitting there and being still and reading a book, like it's just so, my husband's the same way. And I'm like, if you have to listen to it, it's still reading it.
It's still reading it.
That's
yeah.
okay.
And
I did three millionaire real estate podcasts on Saturday, mowing the lawn, just wearing my headset.
I love.
And the thing about podcasts is, when they're talking, I want to chime in, but there's nobody to chime in to. So I actually have to listen.
He's like taking notes of what he's going to send emails later. Like, I want to talk about that subject.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's really important that you figure out like, okay, what do I need to learn? How do I need to learn this? One of the best books I ever started with was The Richest Man in Babylon.
We just got that. I haven't read it yet from our coach.
Yeah, from Chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Chase.
Little shout out Chase Williams.
Chase Williams. I don't know you, Chase, but you sound cool.
It's a good book.
He reports to Casey. She's cool.
Oh my God.
She is. That sounds right.
They're both cool. I'll give Chase a shot. He's cool.
Love you, buddy.
But I started with that book. And the funny thing is I had a coach tell me to read that book years and years ago. And I went into Barnes & Noble. This is where you could go to a bookstore in person.
I've been to a Barnes & Noble. We used to have one in Corrales over here.
I think there's still one at Bridgeport, which I go to.
Oh, really?
But yeah. But I went in there and I was like, hey, I need this book. You know how you ask somebody at the desk, I need this book, The Richest Man in Babylon. And the gal looks at me and she goes, this was required reading at my house before we were allowed to move out.
Oh.
And I was like, can I have it? Because I was like, I've been moved out for a long time, but I don't know the basics of this.
That's phenomenal, though.
Isn't that crazy? So I used to give it out to first-time home buyers like who were just trying, they were on a plan or trying to figure it out, and I'd send it to them to keep them motivated or whatever. And I knew the ones that read it because they came back and got a loan. They didn't read it. I was like, you don't get a mortgage.
Yeah.
But, so I think it's just that constant like figuring it out and then making mistakes. And then when you do make mistakes, like I hired a coach, you have to figure like, it doesn't make sense to go like, I'm going to pay somebody $2,500 a month to tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I needed to because there was somebody else that had a better idea than I did on how to make it all work. And I wasn't doing it right. And so then when they start teaching you about money, like really, how does money work? What is it supposed to be doing? Money has to be working for you. Where are all the things coming in that are going to create independence and financial, freedom for your family? What does that look like? And it's got to be something you love and something you're passionate about. And I've made mistakes. Like 2007, 2008, when the market was getting crazy, people were in my industry that had, 10, 20, 30 homes. They were all getting foreclosed on my side of things, the mortgage side. And real estate agents were stopping by my office. And now it's a RESPA violation. It wasn't then. But they'd come by my office and go, thank you so much for that buyer, but I don't have gas to show them around. Like that's how bad it was. So I would keep like gas cards in my office. And if somebody, I would be like, go sell that house. And
go grind.
Go do the things. Because back then it was like you picked up the client and you showed them all the houses and then y'all don't do that now.
Yeah.
Do you?
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Rarely does a client get in my car. Like I have insurance for it.
I know.
But it's just like
not a thing
you
anymore.
meet at the locations and
especially after COVID and everything. Like everybody.
Listen, if I buy a house, I'm gonna need you to pick me up.
Yeah, that's all right.
Drive me around.
We'll give you 5-star service. We'll open the back door.
No, maybe I should drive you. Okay. You might go a little fast, Billy.
Might be a little bottle of wine on ice in the back.
No, but I think that financial piece, like once it clicked for me, like when I get a paycheck, when I get that revenue, when I get that money in, it automatically goes to different things that are not me spending. So it's like that this percentage goes to an account that's going to make me more money this way. This money is going to go to 401k. This money is going to go into my real estate fund. This money, and we call it the fire on side of the road account. Like what do you have set aside in case something really happens? And so when I would hear like, oh, have 3 months aside. Well, no, I think you need 6 months sitting in there. If something really detrimental happens, like the last 3 years in our industry, you got to have money aside so you don't have to compromise what you're doing and what you're passionate about. So I think that's part of it. And in 2007 and 2008, I started telling you that the market's crashing, and we owned a home in Sun River, which is my happy place. Like Sun River, we drive through the pass, and I can breathe. Like there's something about it. And so we bought our house there, and we were going to retire there, and all the things. And my husband came to me right at I don't remember what time, is like right before the crash. And he said, hey, we got to sell the Sun River house. And I was like, who are you?
No.
Dude, are you new here? Like, this is where I'm. And he's like, babe, I just can't tell you how I know. I just know. Like, to get it. And he's always been that way. Like, it's totally prophetic. He always has been that way. And he told me a number, and I was so mad. I had the number it was going to sell for. I was mad about that. So I called the realtor and that I knew there that I loved that sold me the house. And I said, hey, we've got to sell this in our house. She goes, are you crazy? There's so many people buy that house. It's a beautiful house. And I go, yeah, Christopher says we're going to get this for it. And no, I didn't say that. I said, Christopher says we need to really sell it. And I'm trying to obey, trying to submit all the words I don't do very well.
I'm the queen bee. No.
Listen, that's how you, I mean, if your spouse is like, no, you got to really pay attention.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I did. And it sold for the amount he said it was going to sell.
Wild.
And she told me it would sell for more, and he was right. I didn't even want to show him the contract. In fact, when the contract came back and they were like telling me the number, I go, I'm going to counter him back. And he goes, no, you're not. And I was like, what if I just counter the days so I can, and he's like, because I went one more weekend there with the kids. Because the kids like learn to potty train there, and they learn to, ride bikes there and swim there. So it was like, like that thing.
Yep.
But I'll fast forward. We sold the house, got a beautiful price for it. The market literally crashed. 65 lenders that I was approved with were gone overnight in the 2007-8 crash. And I had people sitting at my door with files, like just sitting at my door in the morning. I'd come in and I'm like, are these people? What are they doing? And they're like, they have a loan they need to get done. Because the place that they had it is gone.
Oh,
yeah. And so it was,
holy
I mean, I had processors coming in and they were like, there's no lights on in my office. I don't know if we're closed. Nobody said anything. They won't let me order printer paper. I'm like, okay. Like, so I was bringing toilet paper from home. I took over the lease. Like, it was bad. And when Christopher had us do that, 8 months later, we were back in Sun River, and the house next door to our house, which was almost identical, except we had a cooler front porch, was on the market for $100,000 less than what we got for ours. 8 months later. That's how fast it went. And I called my realtor and said, when I was there, just to see if she was doing okay. And she goes, Kristina, your house is the last house I sold. I haven't sold a house in 8 months. And that was the last house she sold. And I am so grateful, because if my husband hadn't, pushed me to do that, we would never be, I mean, there was no money coming in. That would have been, and having a house there is expensive anyway. Yeah. So it really freed us up, and we had a good, pretty decent real estate holding at the time. And it really taught me, and we didn't lose anything by God's grace, but it really taught me, be prepared in different buckets. Don't have everything in one thing. Don't have everything in real estate. Don't have everything in commercial. Don't have everything. Have some liquid, like have some money in different things, because if one thing starts to go, you have something else that can come in, and, different businesses, different side hustles, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But keep that stream going. So I think that's the stuff I've learned. I hope that helps. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's great. What's like because you talk to a lot of husbands and wives and couples and all that. What's a common trend that you see that's like the biggest obstacle for couples with their finances?
Ooh, they're not on the same page.
What does that look like for them? Like, is it like one doesn't want to save, the other one just
typically I have one spender. I think every marriage has a spender. Yeah. Are you the spender?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I wear that loud and proud, baby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I will say this. Do you think my wife cares about how much diesel she uses in her big truck?
No. Not a little, not even a little.
She feels safe.
Because she feels safe.
Not even a little.
But I love her.
And it's your job to make sure she feels safe.
Yeah.
And it's also your job to put gas in that diesel.
We'll put diesel in that diesel.
Excuse me. But you have to do it. Yep. I don't like getting gas. Mr. Hubbard knows this.
Steven
don't like
fills
it.
up my car all the time. Yep. And they...
It's a boy job.
Steven...
It's a boy job.
Billy's like, do not tell Ash that. Do not tell Ash that.
It's a boy job.
Scott, cut that.
He got up the other morning. Listen, my hubby, I'm not going to put him on blast. He did kind of do something that was like a little bit like, whoa, who are you right now?
What's happening? Yeah.
But he was just a little irresponsible for a minute.
It keeps you guys in check. Like, we want to make sure you're listening.
He's just so cautious and like not an irresponsible person. So it was kind of like, what? What are you doing? Yeah. Anyway, so he got up at 5 a.m. the next morning.
Out of the doghouse.
And went and got me gas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got my own gas yesterday, and I called Mr. Hubbard while I was getting gas to tell him I was getting my own gas. And he was like, Kristina, you drive the car. It should be your responsibility. And I go, nope.
No.
This is a boy job.
Yeah.
And you know it.
Yeah.
And I got to go.
Pull up to the boy attendant.
he literally said, you didn't even get out of your truck, did you? You went to the full serve. And I go, yeah. He goes, so you handed him your credit card? I go, yeah.
But I still got gas. You should have seen me when I pulled up at Costco after they made the switch. And I didn't see the signs.
Wait,
I didn't realize it.
Oh, you mean having to do it yourself?
Yes.
Is there no full serve at Costco anymore?
There is. It's on the one side. I didn't know that. So I pulled up.
To the wrong side.
I've never put my own gas. And I go, oh my gosh. And I'm like, by myself. So
Is there a tutorial?
And I'm like, no. So I'm like, oh, I think it was God. I was so confident. I was like, okay. And I just get out and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, shove this in here and grab that. And okay. I'm like, I can't get the thing to lock. That's fine. I'm just going to stand here and hold it. I'm like, no big deal. And I'm like, okay. And then I get done, put the thing back. And I walk and I go, oh my gosh, I forgot to put the cap in. And I like go back.
Oh no.
Then I call Steven. I was so proud of myself.
You were.
I did it without you.
Without you.
Like the whole,
I don't need you.
I don't need you. Now, what about if you have a flat tire? Can you change it?
No.
Same.
No. I can change my oil.
Hey, that's why you have AAA.
That's true.
But
he's my, he's my car guy.
Yeah.
Like literally, I don't know. I was sitting with him last night. I was in the truck working and he's up in the engine, literally on his hands and knees in it, flashlight, working on his truck. And I'm doing a serpentine belt and I'm just.
And you know how happy he was that you were out there, even if you were providing nothing but one-liners?
Nothing. Oh, yeah.
Not
he
even
was
snacks.
A swear bear. Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Car guys, man. Like,
car guys are a whole other thing.
He's not an angry person at all. You get him in front of like fixing something. Oh my gosh. I'm like, okay, this is stressing me out. You gotta calm down a little bit. Like, I'm like, I don't like that angry. Like, he's like, I'm not mad at you. I'm like, it's just intense. I can't.
It's intense to be in your area.
Like,
yeah.
I get it, but just.
My husband will, if he's got a time to do something, he'll detail a truck. And he's so happy.
My husband hates that.
Oh my God. Funny. My husband, he's like,
I love
out there. He just loves it. And so I'm always like, mine's next, you know, but I'll get in my truck sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh. And then there's no trash. It's totally clean. Everything's beautiful. And then then in my head, I start getting mad. Like, what did he throw away? What if he threw away something essential?
That he thought wasn't.
Right. And so I'll come home and I'll be like, oh, thank you so much for doing my truck.
Yeah.
Did you throw anything away? And he'll be like, there's a box right over there with all your things. And I'm like, okay.
Good, because that's $100 lipstick.
Those 12 exactly. I was like, 12 lip glosses.
Yes.
I need in the truck.
Those are not trash. They're in there for a reason.
Because what if I forget the 7 that are in my purse?
Yes.
Or, Keynotes.
It's a real thing.
It's a whole situation. But anyway. Still, boy job.
So not being on the same page is like a big thing.
Yeah, not being on the same page. Hiding.
Oh, yeah.
I have had a handful of times where I've pulled a credit report and come back into the office and sat down and there was a child support obligation that the other person didn't know about.
Yeah.
God.
That's
when they didn't know there was another child.
Do you just say like, I'll give you 3 to 5 minutes and then I'll come back in and see what you came up with?
I've had a couple of really rough days when that happens. I'm pretty good with just talking to people and saying, okay, so this, trying to just talk about it. Yeah, so I've had a couple of those. I've had some pretty incredible things happen in that room when the other one doesn't know what the other person's finances look like. Like if they're getting married or just, combining, or he does his thing, she does her thing, and then they'll come to the room and it's like, what is this $30,000 credit card? Or something. And so those are uncomfortable. I've learned to not do those in person anymore. I talk to them sometimes. We try to talk separately.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to need to deliver this to your other half how you want.
How you want to.
You and their business.
Yeah. And then I like to get them on the same page right away about what are you doing for retirement? What does that look like? How much money are you saving? Is there an automatic way to save money out of your check every month that you can't even see, that's not even yours, that just automatically goes? If we have credit, I talked to a gentleman yesterday who had kind of a lower credit score, and he's like, I don't get it. I do all the things. And so we started talking about, if you really want to create wealth, Like, you really want to do that, I can show you a couple of things, but you got to trust me with this credit stuff. So I think a lot of times people don't believe, like, okay, I've got a $5,000 limit on a credit card. That means I have $5,000. No, it 100% does not mean you have $5,000. But that's the mentality of a consumer sometimes. And so I really try to teach people, like, okay, let's reframe this in your mind. I want you to use 10% of that account. They're like, 10%? Yeah, you can use $500. That's it. Well, because the creditors love that you don't need them, right? Like, they love it. So credit usage is I think it might be 35% of your credit score is how much are you using of what you have. And then people also will get really excited about, like, I just paid off my $5,000 credit card and closed it. And I'm like, no, don't close it.
Keep it open.
Right. So I like people to talk to me first, or to someone on my team that really works with credit well, because there are little things that you can do that are just amazing, and other things you can do that will really mess things up. And so if I can just get that consultation time with people, we can help. And credit's part of it. It's a big part of it. Savings, retirement's a big part of it. How much they're making every month, and then what are they budgeting? What does that look like? And sometimes I've had them go separately and do a budget, like first-time home buyers, and they'll come back, and literally it's like he goes out to eat every single day with fast food, or something like that's like, or he goes and buys a Monster every day at 7-Eleven. Well, go to Costco, buy a case if you need it that badly, but don't do it this way. So sometimes tweaking stuff like that with people when they'll listen. Is helpful. I had some first-time home buyers a couple years ago that I literally was like, you guys, if we're going to do this, I need you to ride your bikes to work. Like, I'm not even kidding you. There is nothing you can do other than this. And they did it.
Wow.
So it depends. I think I believe anybody can buy a house.
Yeah.
I believe that. They just have to want it more.
Want it and be disciplined.
Yeah. And maybe want it. You can't want it for them more than they want it for themselves. We've had this go off before where clients are getting.
We just talked about that this morning.
A client gets
coming up.
fearful, and we're like, gosh, this is so good. Or we're looking at all the things, or the cost to wait, or whatever, and they're just like, they can't do it. It's like, so you got to love them through it. Or let them make a mistake, and then 6 months later when they call you back, you're like, well, that $400,000 house is now $430,000.
The cost to wait.
I want to know. Yeah, I'll save that other question for the beginning of the other one. I have another one. But this one, I want to know, because you're a strong, I'm going to cuss. You're a strong, badass woman.
That just happened.
Because it's just
5 days
there
until
is
Sunday.
no other way to say that.
It's Holy Week. I've been trying so hard not to cuss this week. Holy Week. 1 week.
Well, I did it for you, so there you go. But you are.
Thank you.
So I want to know, like, what's your advice to, I mean, you've been a hustler since day one.
Yeah.
Coming in and being a woman, being strong, literally hustling and fighting your way through the industry, your life as a wife, a mother, like trying to balance all of that, taking care of yourself and your own health. We need to have her on here to talk about health too. Anyway.
Oh, that's a whole wealth.
That's a
whole other thing.
Yep. What's your advice, like, in general, to young women?
Oof. Wow. Thank you. That's a great question. Man, if I could have done it differently, I wish it hadn't taken me so long to figure it out. But the one thing I'll tell young women when they're getting into this industry, or any industry, young marrieds, whatever, get your tribe around you. For me, it's a tribe of incredible women and mentors. And some men too that have just really, especially my husband is quite a mentor to me, but and surrounding yourself, that belief of the 5 people you spend the most time with, you'll be the most like. In financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, how much you exercise, all of it. It's like, and so I realized that whatever time I have, I want to be of value to someone. And it's okay for me to expect that they're going to not take all the oxygen out of the room. They're going to actually give back too. And then if you get into a situation where you're with people that are toxic or negative, or they take all the oxygen out of the air and you get in your car and bawl your eyes out or can't even function, they have to be deleted from your life. And I have a big D button. It's a delete button, and they got to go. And God bless them, but they can't be in my sphere all the time. And so I think I realized I love women, and I love to see them kill it. I love to see them succeed in all aspects. And if I can do anything to help, I will. And I think some women, until they know me, think, what's she up to? What's her ulterior motive? And I'm like, nothing. I want to see you fly.
Yeah.
And if I can be a little part of it, I can put my head on a pillow at night and feel super good about that.
Yeah.
And so I would say if women understood their power, I always say if you want something done, give it to a real busy woman because she'll figure it out somehow. But if women could understand that if you're pulling another woman down, well, number one, shame on you. But if you're pulling another woman down, it's because you're too insecure about whatever you're pulling them down for. And I learned this with this tribe of women that come around me. Whatever is going on, good, bad, or ugly, they show up. And I think too many people get so into their spouse, which I'm obsessed with my husband. Yep. But you cannot lose your friends. You can't stop spending time. You can't say no to everything. You can't think that if you go out to drinks with your girlfriend, then it means you don't love your husband. It doesn't mean that. No. It means that you want to be well-rounded. I had to learn that my husband cannot complete every need I have, nor should he ever have to be put in that space because that's not what God made him for. Yeah. Right. And so I think that as a woman in an industry that was very, very heavy to men, I had to remember who I was and who I come from, and putting really good boundaries around myself around those relationships with men and women. And then I think when you start succeeding and doing well, people will come out of the woodwork to be a part of that, and then you have to be really careful what you do to choose your time. But lifting each other up and seeing each other succeed. And I mean, I'll be your biggest fan in the front row, clapping louder than anybody. Yeah. And it's genuine. Yeah. And I think when you do that genuinely, I think really good things come.
Oh, find your tribe.
Well
find
said.
Your tribe.
I love that.
And I will say, you say that's what you believe in and that's what you see in other women. I think you naturally see that in others, and you see the good in others, but you're not blind to others' motives. I mean, you're not blind to, you want to be everybody's champion, and you sincerely feel that way. And it shows through the people that you surround yourself with. But at the same time, you only allow certain people in the sandbox. True. And we've talked about that, where it's like, if they're not lifting you, you don't have space for it. Yeah. And if we all have that standard, like, how are you making my circle better? Yeah. Our circle better? How are we growing together, and how are we cheering for each other? Yeah. Everybody feels on guard when somebody's cheering for them. It's like, is there a different motive here? Or is it like, no, you sincerely are rooting for the best of others? Yeah. So
when somebody does well and you sincerely go, God, that was awesome. Yeah. And not like, I can't believe they got that award or whatever. Like, your heart, you got to check your posture of like, what does that look like? And I'm really careful about, there's something I'm really careful about when it comes to this business, because there is a lot that's in this industry. And this is just real talk with men and women, because you're close and you're doing all these things all the time together. And my husband and I put some boundaries in the very beginning of our relationship. And I shared this with you, I think, that we wouldn't go on happy hours or lunch dates with, I wouldn't go with men without somebody else coming, and he wouldn't go with women without somebody else coming. Yeah. Purely just to honor the sanctity of our marriage. It has nothing to do with me thinking he's going to do something or him thinking. It didn't matter. It was just, I would never want in a million years for him to have one inkling that there would be something I would do that would dishonor our marriage. And so, and some of the gentlemen that I work with, make fun of me about that, but I don't care, because they but their wives are like, yeah, what does Kristina say about that? That's a good idea.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I want to honor Ash too. Like, I want to honor her so that she knows how important that is to me. Because I'm very honest with you about like, Billy, boundary.
Are you making family time?
Billy, are you making family time? Are you being present? Because I burned it out. I did it. And when I burned mine out, when I burnt myself out, I ended up passing out. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I had like 5, they called them I don't even know if they were seizures. They felt like seizures to me. I blacked out and hit the ground, right? in the shower. I would do it. Like, it happened about 5 times. And so we went to neurologists. My husband took me everywhere. They took away my keys. I couldn't drive for months. I was so mad. We could not figure out what was going on. And one day my husband said to me, you know, Kristina, these people aren't coming to your funeral, honey. They're just not. And
That one hits deep.
It hits real deep. And so I had to really reevaluate, and that's when I said I hired another coach at that point. I was like, okay, I've got the money down. How do I build a fence around my time? How do I intentionally be doing all the things my heart wants me to do? And I had to realize that my yes to something meant no to something else.
Yep.
And my yes is when it comes to my kids or my husband, I'm always going to do what I can to say yes there. Even though if they were in here, my husband would laugh himself off the chair. But intentionally, I feel like that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, but building it as a woman is nowadays, I think, a little different than it was when I started this. But championing teams and having a great time with people, and I want to have joy every single day. It's a priority for me to laugh and have joy and say stupid stuff and kiki with people. Like, I have to do it every day, or I am pretty miserable to be around.
Feeds my bucket.
Right?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And everybody around you, then everybody else experiences it. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to end this as kind of a part 1. You just got to an inside look at Kristina Hubbard and who she is. And as I'm sure everybody watching is just in love with you.
No. Oh my gosh. In love with you two. You guys, are you kidding me? Do you know about these two?
Oh my gosh. The way you speak, the wisdom you have, like it's so contagious and it's so authentic. Like, I know people are going to eat this up. Like, to hear you. Oh my gosh. Like,
wow.
Being in the room with you. I love
being in the room with you. Billy's jealous.
That's right.
He does get jealous when I get to go hang out.
I know, Billy's like
twice in 1 week.
What are you guys doing?
What about me?
I love it.
I want some girl time. You got enough women on your family.
That's right.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. We'll be back for a part 2. We're actually going to talk a little bit more about specifically your niche of lending and some key things that are going on in the industry that we want to educate, right?
Got it.
Educate and bring value. You just brought a lot of value and education, but specifically with mortgage and lending and all that, like, we want to chat with more people about it. So
and how it leads to financial freedom. Yeah. Not just mortgage focused.
Yes. True.
So
if you want to chat with Miss Hubbard over here and her incredible team, like she said, she can't do it alone. I'm gonna put all your information in the description of everything. Like, please reach out to her. No strings attached. She's amazing. So highly recommend. Go check her out. Thanks, guys.
See ya.